Welcome to ETRAGE's webinar on Windchill tricks and tips for Windchill users. We are so glad you are all here. As always, everyone is muted. Please use the Q&A icon for any questions that you have that come up during today's presentation, and we'll answer those towards the end. A recording of this webinar will be available on our YouTube channel. I'm Sinead, and joining me today is Ephraim, who will be leading our demonstration. We each bring over a decade of experience in the PTC PLM space. Our shared focus is really on understanding our clients' business challenges and delivering tailored, effective solutions. At ETRAGE, our focus is on driving continuous PLM adoption by addressing the needs of your systems, your management, and your end users. So today's agenda is all about helping you get more out of Windchill's PLM by boosting the productivity of your end users. ETRAGE is a global company with over 20 years of experience in helping PLM adoption extend beyond engineering and into your entire enterprise. Our understanding of adoption is that it's not a one-time event. It's a strategic, ongoing process focused on continuous improvement, and it evolves over time. As a PTC technology partner, ETRAGE delivers innovative software and service solutions. We help companies move towards a complete digital footprint and away from paper and isolated databases. And with that, I'll hand it over to you, Ephraim.
Thanks, Sinead, and welcome everybody to today's webinar. So these are the topics that we'll cover today. I'm going to just cover the Windchill interface and sort of making the interface work for you and have it cleaner with only the tasks or the tables that you need to use, and other tips on how to turn those on and off. Then we will go into the best way of actually managing CAD information as well as documents in the Windchill system using what we call WT parts. So I will expand a bit more on the WT parts on the coming slide. The other topic will just be around streamlining document management. So, a lot of customers wouldn't want to keep the documents in the Windchill systems because of how the interface looks. In many cases, it's not easy to maintain it in there. But in here, I'll show you the other tips and tricks of how handling that or accessing that information directly from Microsoft Office products, as well as from the Windows Explorer, which all of us are familiar with. Then we'll get into the robust search and data retrieval that the system offers. And we all know that we do search for data in Windchill, but I'm going to show you other ways and other easier ways of finding that information in the system. And then at the end, I will end up just going through the common workspace issues that the CAD users face and how to resolve that without having to log a ticket with the support team. So on the bill of material or the WT parts that I talked about, I normally call it bill of information because this is basically a core component of PTC's Windchill PLM system. In my thinking is that this is a game changer for product lifecycle management. So it's in essence a digital representation of physical part or assembly or a product, bridging the design, manufacturing, and supply chain processes to streamline the product development. The benefits of working with WT parts or having a setup like this is that a WT part acts as a single source for truth for product information. So it basically links all the related information for that product. So things like CAD models, drawings, documents, software information, data sheets, and so on gets linked, ensuring that everyone from engineering to procurement to other downstream departments works with the same up-to-date data, ensuring that errors are reduced and there is no miscommunications because we're looking at the very same data. The other benefit for it is that it streamlines the release process or the revised process of the information. In that, instead of managing individual components when it comes to release and revision, you just use one action to basically release and revise. Because when I'm revising this WT part, I can simply go in and say, collect automatically for me all the related data to my product. And then it will go and fetch all the related CAD, drawings, documents. If there's any software linked to this product, it will also collect that information as well. So in short, Windchill WT Parts empowers you or empowers your team to work smarter, not harder. They unify data, streamline workflows, boost collaboration, helping you deliver a high quality product faster. So let us go through the demo and I will take you through all the topics we talked about. So we are now in Windchill and I'm basically on the landing page for my Windchill environment. So to get to the home page, I'll click on the home icon here. So this takes me to the home page with different tables on my page. So normally by default, this page will have more than 4 or 5 tables on here by default. And that sort of looks cumbersome if you need to be using Windchill on the home page. So what this allows me to do is I can customize this homepage based on the information that matters to me. So for instance, if I'm the CAD designer or I'm an engineer, and I'm only interested in the workspace and all the work that I'm working on, which is checked out work, I can then only enable those 2 tables. You know, you can see these are all my workspaces that I need to work with. And then the last table on the list here gives me all the list of items that will be logged to me, checked out to me that I'm currently working on. And the other benefits of the workspace table as an administrator is that it gives you access to other users' workspace. So if, for instance, someone has left the company without checking in the data that he's created in his workspace, or he's on a vacation and we need to use that information, I can quickly go in and just simply from here, search for that user. So in my case, this is the user, and then just hit go, and then it will return all the workspaces that user uses. And then based on the information about the name of the workspace I would have picked up, I can go into that workspace, and from here, I can simply check in that information in. If I need to release it, I can simply just undo checkout on that information. Then, if I'm someone who's just interested in, approval tasks and so on, I don't need to worry about the work on here. I can enable just the tasks table. And you'll notice that this keeps my homepage cleaner because it's only showing what matters to me. So I can see in this case, there's a task that I need to go in and complete. So that is the only thing that I need to see. So you'd use these customizations to turn on and turn off different tables. The other one that I normally use or advise the customers to use is the notepad or my notepad. This would normally use it if you want to keep information that's only visible to you or accessible to you. So your personal data, you can save them in here. So it's like your home drive or your home network drive, if you want. Right. And then the other thing that I also use a lot to advise the customers to use is this recently accessed drop down here. So what this does is it gives me access to the latest information that I've worked with. So instead of navigating through or browsing through the system to get to document folder, for instance, I can click on it here, and then it takes me directly to that document folder. Or if I simply want to go to the details page of a CAD file that I have open, I can simply click on that and then it takes me back in there. And if I, again, want to go back quickly to my documents, I have access to do that from here. And I'm back to the document. So it gives you a quick access to the data that you're currently working with without having to search for it or without having to browse through different products to get to this information. Then at the top here, you have a quick search. So I'm going to go ahead and just type in a keyword of what I'm searching for. And you'll notice I've searched for crankshaft, but it's returning a whole lot of results for me. This is because I have what we call an indexing search enabled. So what indexing search helps you with is you can search for information based on any attribute that you can remember about that information. If there's something in the description that says Windchill for that part, if I search for Windchill as a keyword, because of that indexing search, it will find that component that has a description or a word Windchill in its description. So in here, I want to go look for my crankshaft assembly, which is a WT part. So a WT part in a Windchill environment will have a different icon, which is this gear sign icon. So this is the normal part, and then this is an end part. So you can mark a WT part as an end item if it is something that is a final product or a sellable product. So something like an engine that you can sell as an engine unit, you can mark that as an end item in the system. So if I hover over my mouse on the thumbnail, we call this a thumbnail navigator, it brings up the details about that assembly on here. So I can simply see from here that these components here make up my final assembly. And this also allows me to click on any of this, and then it also populates that in my visualization screen here, and I can interact with this model, zoom in, zoom out, rotate. And what it also helps with is from here, I can see where this connecting rod is actually used. So if I need to make changes to this connecting rod, by just getting to this thumbnail, I can already see that, okay, if I were to make changes to this connecting rod, it is going to impact this particular assembly. So it helps you immediately there with the impact analysis. That is the power of the WT parts as well, giving you access to see where things are used so that it helps with that impact analysis. So I'll go back to this top-level assembly here. And the other icons that you have on here is the view information. This basically takes me to the details page of this particular assembly. Or from here, I can directly just open this in Creo view if I need to interrogate this model, or if I'm someone on the shop floor who's missing a certain dimension on the drawing. I can simply open this in Creo view and get that information. I'll show you that in a bit. And this one here is just to switch what we're looking at to the CAD. So looking at the related Creo information about this. So we'll see those are the Creo assemblies, Creo part that makes up that. So I'll go back and switch to the normal view again. And then at the top here, I can switch this to related information. And this immediately shows me all the bill of information that relates to this product. So I can see the requirements document, and there's the owner's manual, so the aftermarket data that is linked to this component. And directly from here, I can go to any of this information. Or also looking at this, I can see that whenever I need to change this, I need to keep the documents in consideration as well, because they relate to this model over here. So from here, I'll go in and just open this in your view. So if you're someone who's a reviewer, you don't necessarily need a CAD tool to be able to open these files. You don't need to buy that license for you. If you've got access to Windchill, you'll have access to Creo View. So this is how the Creo View looks like. I'm loading my model in here. So there's a couple of things that you can do on here. So if I'm someone who's in the shop floor and the dimension for this part of this crankshaft here, it is not clearly defined on my drawing, I can simply use the markup and pick an action that I want to do, and I can simply get the information about the diameter of that, or the information about the inner diameter of the crankshaft side. Just from here, I'm able to see all that information that I'm actually missing from my drawing, and it makes it easy also to interrogate this model from here without making any modifications to this. So it is also called a lightweight version of the actual model. I'll go ahead and just discard this. The other nice thing with Creo View is, as a reviewer, and if I need to communicate any information on here, I can also do that. So if I need, for this crankshaft, I need them to use maybe a different paint color on this, I can communicate that information. Let's paint color to blue, for an example. Click this information, and because this is part of the change, or this would require them to do the change, we can also save this back into Windchill as a communication method. And save this. So then what it does is it saves this changes or these annotations against that crankshaft assembly. If I go to the details of the crankshaft assembly, and then I go to the representations, you would see this is the one that we've just created now. And anyone who's got a Creo View will be able to go in and open this, and they will see what needs to change as far as this goes. And while we're on here, the one power that we've mentioned about the WT parts is streamlining the release process or the revise process. If I need to revise this because it's not released, I can simply say, give me the whole components of this assembly. But what I can also do on top of that, I'll say collect all related CAD. And with that CAD, I'll say collect related drawings that goes with that CAD, and also collect related documents for this. I'm doing this manually because I wanted to show you what actually happens in the background. But these sections that I've just done now can be automated in a way that when I revise, it automatically collects all this related information for you. But if you were to do this from, for instance, a drawing, the drawing will only collect its related assembly or its related model. So basically, this is like a bit of information of all the components. And to also show you that is I can basically go in and expand all the levels of this here, and then I can say, show me all the related documents, CAD, if there's any replacement parts on here, if there's any supplier or vendor components, list them on this bill of material here. So this shows me the entire BOM of this particular assembly. And if we, for instance, in this case, we're missing the software. So if I need to add the software component for this particular bill of material, I can without modifying or without touching the engineering data, so the Creo model. So I can go in and say, all right, I would like to add in here a software part. So I'm searching for the crankshaft control panel software, and then I bring it into here. So that basically adds this is a WT part component, but specific to software. And on this part, I can actually link an executable or a source code if I need to. If I go and say, show me the document linked to this, it shows me the document linked to that assembly. And this document has got an exe file linked to it, which is the executable file for the control panel software for my crankshaft assembly. So it allows you to add on here things like consumables that you don't really design or don't really need to capture in the Creo assembly. That can be captured on here so that you have a full bill of material or full bill of information about the product or how to manufacture that product. Again, this is just for the design view of my bill of material. So from here, I can also go in and create the manufacturing view that captures all that goes with the manufacturing, the actual manufacturing of that product. Or I can also create a service view that then handles the parts list and handles things like kits, service kit that would be used to service this particular product. And then once this is set up, someone who is in the purchasing department or downstream who need to use the BOM, they can simply go in and export this whole BOM into any of this format and to use for downstream ordering and so on. And the other thing that also you can do obviously in the system is the documentation that we talked about. So under here, you'll see I've created some subfolders, so you can do this. You can create subfolders, further, organize your structure. So in here, there's the department's information. If I go to engineering, see that there's engineering files in here. So I've got 2 Word documents and a PDF file for this. The normal way to add this sort of information in Windchill would be to create a new component and then select the type that you want to create, type of document you want to create, and then browse to where the document is. But that entire information can actually be done or accessed directly from your Microsoft product. So there is a add-on or an add-on, they call it a desktop integration for Windchill that you can download in Windchill and then install it. Then it creates another tab or a ribbon in your Microsoft Office products. And from here, I can simply go in and directly go find information in Windchill. So I don't have to leave this interface or work in the Windchill interface to be able to work with documents. I can do that directly from here. If I still feel like this is not working for me, there's another way of doing it. It also uses the same tool, the desktop integration. And again, it works best with things like images, if you need to upload images, or the non-Microsoft Office type of files. You install the integration, then you register your server. So in this case, I've already registered mine. Then when you go in, I'm seeing all the top level of my system, but in your case, because I'm the administrator, in your case, you'll only be able to see the product. So we can go into the product, the demo product, and get to the document that we're looking for, the engineering document. And then from here, I can simply open this directly in the Microsoft Office. Or I can also do some Windchill actions from here, things like checkout, check-in, rename, revise. I have those actions directly under my Windows Explorer. Again, if I need to just drag and drop a file in here, I can do so. So I have the file that I have on the other screen. Can just drag it, drop it in here. Then as soon as you drop it, it brings up the new document creation dialog, where I'll go in and specify the type of document I'm creating. Can give it a name, description and title if you need that additional attributes, and then complete this. Let's refresh the page. Oh, it's probably edited on the at this level. Yeah, this is the file we've just created. It's been at this level. So yeah, if you don't want to manage your documents directly in Windchill, you can install that desktop integration that allows you to do exactly what you can do in Windchill with that. And the next thing that I'm going to touch on is the search. So earlier on, we searched for the crankshaft using the simple search, but I wanted to show you some of the search functions that you can do. So first one being, if there is a search that you always use or you frequently run, you can actually go in and save that search. And then that saved search will show under the saved searches here. And then every time you run it, it will give you the latest information for that particular search. In this case, it is for the CAD documents that are in the release state. So you'll see that it's actually returning all those released items, and we can see they are all released based on the state here. Fine. Just go back to the advanced search. So yeah, the next search I wanted to show you is the advanced search. So what this allows you to do is to search for or to search against any attribute of that product. In this case, I can say I'm searching for a CAD document, so a Creo, a SolidWorks file, that has an attribute called material, but we're only looking for all items that has material as steel. Yeah. Run that search, and it goes and searches for all those CAD items that has that attribute as steel. And then from here, if I know I run this search again, I can go in and save the search. CAD steel, made up of steel material, and then save my search. And that search will then show under the saved search as well. So I can run it. And as an administrator, there's a way to also share that particular search with other people in the company. The next search I want to show you, but this one relates to the documents. It is they call it a preview search. So I can go in and search for a certain keyword in here. So let's search for Windchill, for instance. Hit search. It goes and finds all the information or all the documents that has the word Windchill either inside the document, in the content, or in any of the attributes. And if I hover over this text preview column, I can see inside of the document where that Windchill keyword is actually positioned. So that is the preview. So if you know how the document looks by just previewing it here, you'd know if this is the document that you're looking for. And lastly, on the search, the last search I want to show is the one that's called classification search. This is something that was implemented in Windchill using a module called Windchill Parts Link. The idea for this was to promote data reuse and also make sure that we do away with duplicates in Windchill. Because what happens is you'll be looking for a certain component or a certain, let's say, bolt in this case, to use with the certain size. But because you don't know exactly those details about the bolt and you can't find the bolt that you're looking for, what designers eventually end up doing is they will just create a another one from scratch, taking away the time, obviously, and also creating duplicates in the system. So what classification search allows you to do is to class or classify those components. So if I'm looking for a certain component, I would go through a classification here and say, okay, if I'm looking for electrical component, what electrical component I'm looking for? Is it a wire, or is it a conductor, or is it a bulb that I'm looking for? Or if it's an electrical component, is it a nut, is it a bolt? And if you hit the bolt, it then goes and return all the bolts that you have in the system. So this is the list of all the bolts. But what this also gives you is you can go in and filter this list out. So I can go in and say, I'm looking for the one with diameter of anything between, say, 5 and 15. And you apply the filter, then it filters that results down to just that. If you still have additional, queries like the head size or the length of that, you can also go in and query that based on the length, apply, then it filters the search down, and eventually you'll get to the component that you're looking for that you'll need to reuse. This is called a smart search or a classification search that you can use. And like I said, this is linked to a module in Windchill that's called a paths link. Right, so that is all I wanted to show as far as the search goes. Now I'm going to go to the workspace, how to address issues that we normally face in the workspace. So firstly, I want to mention that if you need to look at the different view of your workspace, you can do that by just going into this custom view drop down, click on the customize, and you can go and create your own custom view from that list, and basically select all the attributes you want to show as part of your workspace. Then, so with the issues, the first one that I want to just talk about or address would be when you check in something that already exists in Windchill. The Windchill will let you know that the component already exists in Windchill, and you won't check it in. So let's go through that example quickly. I'm going to pick one of the components that I know already exist in Windchill, which is the crankshaft. We have it open in Windchill. Maybe at this point we have even modified it in here. And then once we're done, we save it. It saves to the workspace. And now it's time to check this component into Windchill. If you go ahead and try to check it in, so where do you want to check this in? Into the CAD, into the crank assembly folder, and I'll go ahead and complete the check-in. Notice at the bottom here, it tells you that it failed to check in. Always, whenever this happens, I'll say don't panic. Go to this icon here, open it up. This icon will tell you exactly what the issue is. In our case, it tells us that this component already exists in Windchill, is not unique. It's already loaded. So there's two ways to fix this issue. One way is if this new shaft is totally different from what's already in the system, or is not linked at all to that component, you can simply rename this file. You can simply rename it and then check it in. It will check it in. It will check in without any issues. But then, if it's the same component, you now need to basically link the two. But again, the challenge is if I go in and pull in the one in Windchill, it is going to override this one, and then I lose my changes. And you find that these are the changes that you spend 2 days, 3 days working on. You don't want to lose these changes. How do I address this? The easy way to do this is to use the function that's called update. And when you get to this function, you have a couple of options here. You have the download. Download simply means I'm going to override what you already have in the workspace, which is what we don't want. So the best option in this case will be to reuse. Reuse simply means don't lose the changes that I already have in the workspace, but link the two. So go ahead and link the two, and notice it now removes the icon that shows that this is a new part. But now we need to check this in. What we then need to do is simply check this component out, and then we check it back into Windchill. Then we've fixed that issue. Then the other tip is there would be cases where you need to work over the weekend because maybe there's pressing deadlines on the project you're working on. So the system is going to be down maybe for maintenance over that weekend, but you still need to work. How do I handle that in Windchill? So the easy way to do that is if I will be working with this, say, crankshaft, I need to make modifications to this. What you will do is simply export it out to your local drive. So simply go and say, take this to this folder, for instance, and then check it out. Then that file is now exported onto that folder, the export folder. If I show you here, this is that green part that we've just exported out now. It's sitting in this folder, and then the system is offline. You can open it in Creo or modify it, save it back to that same location. And the easy way to bring it back into the system is either through opening it up in Windchill, the way I've shown you with this previous one, and save it into the workspace, update, so that there's a link, and then check out, check in. The other way to do it is you go to tools, and then you use the import to workspace to go and bring the part that you have checked out or exported out, crankshaft. The nice thing with, or the good thing with bringing it this way is if you go to the next screen, it will show you here that the file already exists. So how do you want to bring this file in? Do you want this to be the latest modification, which means it will be this option here? You want to bring it as the new changes, or you want to treat the one that's already in the workspace or in the common space, which is Windchill, as the latest one? So in that sort of case, you will have to bring in the components that you've modified as modified with that plus, and then bring it into the workspace. Once it's in the workspace, it's the same actions. You check out, and then you check that in. No issues, your data will check in and update it. Then the last one I want to show you is what I've seen in recent days. It's been some of the support issues I've been dealing with. Is you might have the data sitting outside of Windchill that you're planning to bring into Windchill. And how you normally do that is as easy as this. Go to where the data sits. So in this case, our data is actually sitting in this folder. It is this assembly here with its parts as well, 2 parts. Bring it in, but you'll notice as soon as you bring this in, it tells it's missing a model. So this means one of the models is either deleted from the local drive or it is sitting in a different folder than the assembly. But that is less of our concern because what we're looking at in here, it's exactly what we want. So our assembly is complete as far as what we can see in here. And then we'll go ahead and save this to the workspace, and it does save to the workspace. But now, if you go to the workspace, you'll notice you'd pick up a file that looks like this. It's called incomplete file. We also call it a ghost file as well. So there's a couple of ways to fix a ghost file. In this tree, it's easy to fix it because we can see the component. But if this is caused by a drawing, you can't really see a drawing. It's a reference somewhere in a drawing. And normally in the drawing, there's some config.pro settings that we can set to clean that out. But in this case, we stuck with this file. We can't find it. A couple of ways to fix it is, first one is I can replace it with something if it's already if this part or the similar part already exists in Windchill, I can go in and replace, find that part, and then it will replace and fix this file. But we know we don't have this file. The second option is when you right-click on this file, it will normally have an add placeholder option. You can click on the placeholder, it will then create a blank file of this. Then it will allow you to check it. Because at this point, if we try checking this assembly, it will fail because of that file. And then this is the failure, and then it will say it cannot check in this placeholder. And in most cases, if you try and delete this file, you don't even delete because it is linked or used in this assembly. It will say to you, if you need to delete this, you have to delete the assembly as well, which is what we don't want as well. So the quick fix to this is to create a blank part, right? You create just a blank part. Let's call it blank. Create a blank part. If it's a part, if it's an assembly, we'll create a blank assembly. And then we take this file, we save it locally as a backup. I'm going to save it in this folder. Yeah, I'm going to save it in this folder. In there. So it is saved now. Yep. And then what you do is you go to that folder, and then we rename, go into this file, and we will rename that blank file to the same name as our part. .prt. Rename it as this. We know this is a blank file. Nothing major there. And then we will go just clear out what's in the workspace here. And then we'll go open that file up and save it to the, open it up, and we'll save this in the workspace. And as soon as you save it, you'll get a message. You read this message, it's simply saying this file already exists. You're going to override it. Because we know that that's what we want to do. We're going to fix that file. I'm going to go ahead and override that file. Go in there, that file is fixed. Now, if you go check in, we should be able to check in this assembly without any issues. The other tip that I wanted to give here is to just maintain your workspace and make sure that you don't have workspace issues. Every time you check in an assembly, you check in your file. Just make sure that on this next window here, you remove that file from workspace once the check-in is successful. And it removes it from the session automatically for you, and it also removes it from the workspace for you. Yes, that is all I wanted to show for this session. And yeah, I will go back to my presentation and hand it back to Sinead.
Thank you, Ephraim. We just wanted to give you a quick reminder that if you're currently using Windchill 12.0 or 12.1, PTC standard support does end in 2025. If you need some help in budgeting or planning for an upgrade, our team at ETRAGE is happy to assist in that. And at this time, then, if there are any questions, go ahead and use that Q&A question mark icon. And while we'll wait, we just wanted to highlight some upcoming webinars and events for ETRAGE. Our next webinar is 2 weeks from today. We will be looking at WT parts, how the benefits of searching for objects associated by WT parts and how that's now possible in our ETRAGE viewer. This is great for shop floor procurement and other departments. We will be running a Intro to Creo class guaranteed to run in September. We have a business admin class at the end of September. And in between that, we'll be hosting a webinar on looking at how IT and networking issues may be slowing down your Windchill and your enterprise and looking at some potential workarounds. Let me see if we have any questions. Doesn't look like it. While we wait to see if there's any last ones, just a reminder that if you are interested in ETRAGE software and service solutions, you can look at past webinars as well as our website. We're happy if you want to reach out to start a discussion. And with that, Ephraim, if you could share our contact information. Still don't have any questions in. I will finish by saying we will be sending out a link of today's webinar recording to each one of you to either rewatch or share. Ephraim shared a lot of information, so yep, we understand that you want access to that, so no problem. But if you do have any questions about other topics, please reach out. Ephraim and myself, as well as the rest of the ETRAGE team, are available. And with that, well, thank you again for attending today's webinar, and we will see you next time.